Hello. Before there was time, before there was language, there were the sacred symbols. Hi, I'm Sam, and this is Sam's Tarot. And that quote was from the inside of the magnetic box of the mystical Shaman Oracle. And I have a hard time pronouncing names, but these are the authors of this particular deck. And they share the images and symbology that is familiar and consistent across many different cultures, including South American, Aboriginal, I believe Slavic, as well as other shamanistic principles. I want to read something from the introduction in the book real quick because I think it says better than I ever could. Um, and let's see if I find the thing real quick. Here we go. A message from the authors. The sacred symbols in this deck are shared by all peoples. They can be found in the ancient rock carvings in the Mongolian steppes and in the pictographs of the American Southwest. They are the centerpiece of African, Aboriginal, and Andean petroglyphs. They are the heart of the collective wisdom of humanity. Um, Again, here's the authors with their first and last names. And again, I don't want to do them injustice by completely butchering their names when I try to pronounce them. Um, but these three come from the point of view of naturalist shamanism and symbols, not only that were created most likely by the hand of man, but also the symbols that we see in nature that we take and various cultures take meaning from. And you'll see some of that when we go through the cards here in a minute. I got this deck. This was my second, I think it was my second Oracle deck, and it really resonated with me. Um, I haven't been too shy about the fact that I am mostly into ceremonial practice, hermetic styles of witchiness, if you will. But my original background when I first started down this path, um, 40 years ago, was that into Wiccan, Norse pantheon mythology, and shamanism. So even though I don't necessarily follow it per se anymore, um, it is still part of what makes me me. Um, I can trace back even before then, but my love of symbols and symbolism has a deep root in shamanistic principles. Um, so seeing this deck and deciding on this deck to me was kind of a no-brainer. Get these two focused. And this deck has, and I'm sorry, before I actually show you the cards here, this deck actually has three ways of reading the card. Um, One is if it's done in reverse, called the medicine. One read as advice, if you will, a way to work shadow work would be another way of putting it. Um, Psychological aspects, etc., called the invitation, i.e., what actions do we do when we see or contemplate on certain cards. And then, of course, the divinatory meanings, which would be the essence. So each of these cards can be read three ways. So, for example, the owl here can be read as the essence. Here's what the message is. Here is the call to action that this card brings to mind, which is the invitation. Or if it was in reverse, and even though it doesn't specifically say so, but I'm going to read it this way, even if it was kind of upright, it can be worked for the shadow self of what we need to work on. And so that would be, let's see, the medicines, the invitation, and the medicine. There we go. But as you'll notice as we go through these cards, they are symbols that, regardless of cultural background, have a lot of commonality with it. And, there is a principle out there, and hopefully I'm not butchering this word, called prenatalism, which is basically how all the religions throughout mankind's history, both the major organized religions that we know of today, as well as sects and cults and etc., throughout time, all kind of have a central message, a very kind of equal way of trying for humans to describe or recognize what God is, or what the spirit is, or the universe is, and how it relates. And so, in my opinion, this is where symbology and symbols probably have the biggest impact, because most people have enough sense of imagination, enough sense of, I won't say self, but at least kind of the world, that certain symbols, certain aspects are readily known. Um, I will also watch a lot of TED Talks, and which is technology, education. I forget what the D stands for, but I'm sure you've probably seen or heard a TED Talk or two. But one of my favorite ones that comes to mind is about um, ways that humans express themselves, and how, regardless of one's cultural background, nationality, um, they all kind of mean the same thing. So one of the examples that, and sometimes they're quite the opposite, right? Um, but one of the things that's kind of harked on is the winning pose, when you throw both hands up in the air as a sign of victory. Um, and one of the interesting studies that was done was that even blind people who have never seen this gesture or had this gesture overtly explained to them, if they win in a competition and are excited about it, still throw their hands up in victory. So, why I bring this up and how I'm trying to bring this into the conversation is that humans have kind of inert sense of symbols and what they mean and what they stand for. And this deck does this brilliant job of bringing all these symbols from around the world and various cultures and backgrounds, and shows these commonality symbols and how they reflect on us. And I just find that incredibly inspiring, and even kind of awed by it. And I guess because of my own personal thoughts and developments about symbols and symbology, adds in a bit of blanking the word, validity to um, that belief and that concept. So, this is what the back of the cards look like, by the way. The maze and circle, or the circle maze, however you want to put it. But I find the art on these cards incredible. And again, I'm going to use this card as an example. We know that we come from hunter-gatherers, before we had agriculture. Uh, and so to see and know that this was, not just people from Europe or just people from the Americas, that all people came from within their own backgrounds, from a hunter gatherer, and then sometimes, but normally, into an agricultural one, and then into um, what do we call it now when we're maintaining the fields and stuff? Um, Cultivation. We cultivate our food. We cultivate, whether it's crops or whether it is meats or fish. We cultivate these things. We farm them. Um, there's a huge movement now for self-sustainability, so that we're not having such a hard and heavy impact on other living things. And so we see this history throughout various cultures and peoples. And again, we go back to this deck that kind of hints and shows that connection amongst all the various principles. And of course, in a very shamanistic uh, and earth like way, nature based way, excuse me. And again, I find the artwork just beautiful. Now, I'm still relatively new to Oracle decks, so I don't um, I don't use Oracle decks um, for divination. I actually barely use tarot for divination, to be honest. Though I used to read for divinatory meanings. Don't get me wrong; I'm very aware and have done that for years. Um, but my practice as it is now rarely uses the tarot for divinatory, and I don't use oracle decks and cards for divination. I use them for reflection, meditation, energy work. As in what type of energy do I need to manifest? Should I be concentrating on? What's going to make me a better person today? What life lessons do I need to know right now? Et cetera, et cetera, these sort of things. And sometimes, I won't say that the trope doesn't quote unquote cut it. It usually will and does. But every once in a while, I want a specific style of energy coming toward me in my readings. And I find oracle decks, such as this one, a great way of expressing that way. So, I would grab this deck when I am looking for the energy that I am needing to manifest and needing to reflect on. Instead of reaching for one of my tarot decks, I might reach for this oracle deck and then pull a card, such as this one, the Rainmaker. And then I will focus on the imagery in this card, um, what I know, sometimes what I think I know about the symbology of the card, and see how that needs to manifest or reflect in my worldview, even if that worldview is just for the day or um, while working on a certain project, um, etc., that sort of thing. I don't use this deck for shadow work, but a couple of my other oracle decks, which I've shown off and on throughout various videos, I do use for shadow work. Um, this deck here, I specifically use for energy of the day, healing energy, etc. Beautiful one. Want to give a couple shout outs why I am going through these cards and going through this video. First and foremost, one of my favorite subscribers, Texas Rose, now has her own channel. And as of the time I'm recording this, she's only got one video out, but it's a great one. It is an introduction video. And she does an awesome job, and I would like to encourage people to check her channel out as well. Another shout out would be, and I might mispronounce this, so Summer, if you're watching, I'm sorry. Artias Sen. She is a YouTuber, been around for a little over a year, I believe, and she does a lot of work with tarot, fairy, creative aspects, etc. And she is a wonderful creator and quite humorous, actually, too. So I'd like to also suggest checking her out. And then the other shout out I would like to give today would be to Rochelle of Amethyst Ascension. She has been one of my biggest cheerleaders, and she has a much more successful channel than mine. And it amazes me that she spends time to watch my videos, and I know she watches videos of other smaller creators such as myself, and her encouragement to us is just incredible. So a big shout out to Rochelle as well. All three of these channels I am going to link in the doobly-doo down below. So if you are interested in checking them out, the links to their channels will be in the description below. And all three of these ladies are wonderful people. And there are a bunch of other great YouTubers, so I'm not trying to slight them at all. And I'm sure as time goes on, I think I want to make a point of every few episodes here actually give shout outs to various YouTubers that I know that I get a lot of inspiration from or knowledge from, and simply enjoy their videos as well. So if I didn't mention your channel now, it's not because I don't enjoy it or watch it. Your channel will be mentioned in the future, I am sure. And this is without really going into shout outs for some of the biggest influencers for the tarot, like Simon of Hermit's Cave. I mean, if you don't know who Simon is by now and you're watching my video, I don't know how you came across my video. I honestly don't. I think anything you put in a search function to actually see my video, you would have definitely seen Simon well before mine. So I might not give complete shout outs to people like that, but that's not from a disrespect or a thing. It just meant they're so big. My little shout out isn't going to do anything. I don't think that's the exact thing I'm trying to say, but it will go with it. Beautiful card. Anyway, this I have enjoyed showing you the Mystical Shaman Oracle and telling you why I like it so much and suggest it. I will have a link to this particular oracle to my Amazon affiliate also in the description. Affiliation works where if you click on my link and end up buying it, I get a really small little percentage of it. Just helps support the channel, nothing more than that. The other thing I would encourage you to do is please hit that thumbs up button. That, of course, helps others find this video about this particular deck. And subscribe if you haven't already. If you do subscribe, make sure you hit that little bell icon down below as well. So that way you'll get notified whenever I put out new content. Right now I'm trying to put out content at least once or twice a week. I'm not very good at it, to be honest. But what I try to do is do several videos at once behind the scenes as I'm recording, and then schedule them to be released at a later times. Um, Last but not least, at this point in my growth of my channel, I try to respond to all comments. So please leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think of the deck. If you have experience with this deck, let me know. If you yourself come from a shamanistic background, I would love to hear from you. And that is all. I appreciate you taking the time out today to watch my video, and I will see you again soon. Thank you again, and have a good day.